Okay, so we're back, and we're gonna jump straight into red.
All right.
So have you
This,
got it up?
yes, it's up. The first Rin. I say
Three, two,
it's
one.
good.
So, I like it. A lot of people don't like it, and I can understand why. I think it's very good now that we know Archer slash Rin deck is probably going to be the best deck. But again, people can disagree. So what it does is it's got experience. If your level zone has another copy of this Rin, which means you have to run at least probably three, and a 106k archer in it, then this card becomes a 2/2. And the other effect, which I think is just as relevant, if not more, when this comes to play, you get to salvage a master or a servant
I
and add to
honestly,
hand.
honestly think this card is great. I mean, the fact that you can give it clock encore as well means that even most anti changes won't be able to really clear it. And
Yeah, like literally the only thing I can see killing this is like
Kantai's anti
um
change. Um,
anti or anti encore. And this set's anti-change is also a bottom decker.
yeah,
And also anti-encore cards like the Yuiko from Little Busters or God forbid the Shiki from Melty Blood can put a dent in this card.
thousand
There's also the
cuts,
Honoka from Love Live. Yeah, 17 cuts actually.
17 cuts. Sorry, my bad.
Yes. But this is a 2295 that cantrips, probably has clock encore, and is probably actually 10-5.
Yes, I
I really think this is a good card.
I like this card. I would
Yeah, like
in Rin Archer deck. I feel like you should have like four of this.
you have plenty of good level 2 plays that you can actually play at a level 1, but I honestly think this is a really good card.
Yeah, I would run 3 to 4 of this in a Rin Archer deck for certain.
Yeah,
But to the
I'm
next
just taking
card,
a stance. Next card, this is a Rin that comes into
it's
play, draw 2, drop 1.
which is good,
When this comes to field, you have to tap a master or servant character,
which is fine.
and 2 cost. When this attacks, with a gate in the if there's when this attacks, if there's a gate in the climax border, you can pay the cost, which is 2 cost. Then your opponent takes damage equal to the number of climaxes in your waiting room. This damage can be cancelled. This is a good card.
Yeah, I think so. The only problem for this card is that it's going to be competing against Rin Archer for the slot, the Fate Stay finisher. But overall, the
Yeah,
effect
like
is fantastic.
I think that it's good that it combos with Gate Climax. Gate Climaxes are coming back into fashion with the Kantai ban list. And I hate to say it, but on average, they're better than the +2 Soul Climax.
I agree
On average.
for the most part, with the one exception being that if you do run the +2 Soul and you tech in yellow, that saber is a lot more terrifying.
That's very true, actually. But in a dedicated Rin Archer build,
In a dedicated Rin
I
Archer
reckon
build,
it's personal
I would
preference.
argue that this card is slightly better in a dedicated Rin Archer build just because of Gate versus +2 Soul.
Yeah, pretty much. So conclusion, I think this is a little bit stock hungry, but otherwise a really good card.
I agree. I think very runnable. Probably
Yeah.
the best red finisher.
Yeah, like something I think people might overlook is the fact that both the level 3 Rins, one of which might be level 2, cantrip, so they replace themselves in hand, is a really big deal. And the one with the climax combo actually digs for the climax combo itself, which
Exactly.
is really big on a level 3 climax combo that isn't bar. So
Exactly.
I think this is a really solid card, and whether you run this or the old Rin and Archer is basically dependent on whether you want to heal or not.
I agree. I feel like this card is definitely going to be more consistent than an Archer just because it can draw for it. But I mean,
Yes,
healing is always a plus.
+2 soul is always a plus.
+2 Soul is the best climax. But also you run into the nice thing about Ren Archer, which is that it's very easy to search for actually because it's tagged Archer,
Yeah,
with the Fate
exactly.
Zero Vimana event.
Hmm. Yes, that's a good point actually. Vimana is a pretty big consideration in a dedicated Rin Archer build. It was before this set, and I think it will continue to be, even though we have some good brainstorms and stuff.
Exactly.
So next card, it's the third RR. It's a level 3 Archer. Um,
Oh yes, I remember this card being painfully mediocre.
Um,
It
if all of your
was
other characters are master or servant, then it gains 1k.
all right. So
It's got resonance. Resonance with something. We'll figure out what
oh,
that's.
it's
Oh, it's
it's resonance with the Suicider
the
Rin.
level zero bomb, isn't it? Yeah, the level
Yes.
zero bomb, which you're probably playing already. That's fine. And it's got when this card attacks, reveal the top card of your deck. So not mill, reveal. If it's a if it's a
If
master or servant trait, this card does damage equal to that card's level. Now, there's a card like this in Idolmaster. It's Mickey to the next stage or something, and it has a terribly hilarious habit. I don't play IMAS, so I think it's hilarious of revealing level zeros,
I mean,
and that's zero damage.
if you mathematically work this out, right? A deck is running 8 climaxes. That's already 8 cards that cannot deal any damage with this effect ever, right?
Yep.
Because it's not master or servant. In addition, most decks are running 16 level zeros, right? So that's 24 cards out of 50 that cannot deal damage on mill. If this card is on the
Hmm.
field, and assuming every other card is level 1, 2, or 3, you have 24 level zeros to 25 anything that can burn in your deck, assuming this was the only card on field and everything else was in your deck, which means in worst case you have a 50% failure rate. Or it could be worse. An
Um,
average case, you could have like a
I'm
50% failure rate.
I was a I was very opposed to the idea of the old Mickey being good, and I'm very opposed to the idea of this card being anywhere near as good as the old Rin Archer or the aforementioned
Rin.
Rin with the Gate
I
Climax
completely
encore.
agree. This card should not be run.
No, Saber is a much better splashable finisher.
Exactly. This is actually a bad, as far as I'm concerned. It's just not good.
I'll take that stance with you. I think it's bad as well. It's like 1k on the site, which is fine. It's day one, but no, I don't think it's very good.
At least it's Archer, which means it
Okay.
gets clock
Mhm.
encore. But like, speaking of
Speaking
getting clock encore, that is the next
of
card.
yeah, we've got our second clock encore giver. This one gives Rin and Archer clock encore. Now this is a master and
Gem.
I say gem trait, but it's actually treasure. It's not that anyone cares.
No one
This is
cares.
relevant for a couple reasons. The first
The
one is
event.
the obvious one. It's text. Like it says, it gives Rin and Archer clock encore. That's really good.
Yes.
The second one is it's a master trait. So the old 1/1 Gandia Shooter Rin, I think it was called, with one of the abusable effects of Old Fate's Day Night. You can go look it up if you don't know what it does.
Yeah.
Or I can just say it. You tap two masters and you can pick one of their waiting room cards to put on
And
top
top
of their
deck it.
deck. Yeah, so it's confirming one damage every turn, and this was good. This is a good card with that because it's master trait,
Yep.
and
It also
henceforth you
gives it
can tap
encore.
it. Yes.
So
If you really want to attack with it.
I mean, yes, that's absolutely true. But I mean, as far as this card is concerned, if you're running Rin Archer, you're probably running 4 of this just to make sure you get 1 onto field.
I think 3 is as reasonable as 4 because
I
we
mean,
do actually have some fatty level 1s.
the fact that it is Master definitely makes it a lot easier because of a card that we will reach at some point. Oh my god.
Yes. So much suspense. This card, man. This card. Anyway,
It's
next card.
dumb.
Next card, when this comes to field, you can check top deck and either leave it there or put it to the waiting room, and it's a one
Spammable
cost filter
search.
brainstorm.
Salvage. That's it. Spendable salvage.
Yes, and there's no restrictions on it.
Um,
Yep, so you can just get any character.
Personally, I feel like if you're running Rin Archer, your spammable brainstormer is going to be the Kaleidoscope Ruby Rin from Fate Hollow.
That card is also probably your best level 1,
Option
because
as
it
well.
becomes a 2/1.
And then
Yeah,
you also
so,
run the 8 gate stack at that point, which means you just kind of plus for days. So I think all in all, you're not running this.
I like this card. Like, I like it a lot in a deck that isn't Rin Archer,
Yes. If it's not Rin
because
Archer, then it's a great
it
filtering
is
card.
exactly what it says on the tin. It is Water Shot Haruka. It is that one from DC, the Mahiru. I'm not sure. It's producer from IMAS. It's a
Yeah.
very very good card. Like I think even outside, like even in Rin Archer deck, I'd probably run one.
You can argue running it in Rin Archer deck. I personally would shy away from it just because then you're kind of running. I say you're running a lot of brainstormers, but I mean the Kaleidoscope Ruby is
You can
also.
never have enough brainstorms.
This is true. The Kaleidoscope Ruby is also there because it has a really good Climax combo in the Rin Archer build.
Yeah,
But I mean, this is a
definitely.
card that I think will show up more in Shiro builds
Not, yeah,
than Rin Archer builds.
absolutely. And look to see this card going up in price because it is one of the staples that
Yeah.
any deck will want.
So
Okay, next
moving
card is a
on.
oh, it's
Oh
this one.
yes, yes. This
This is
is
the
this is a special card.
when another card, yeah, when another one of your cards reverses, one of your weapon traits gets plus 500, like yeah, whatever,
Yes,
and then one cost tap to brainstorm and get
weapon.
weapon traits back per climax.
This is a
So it's
special.
plus and brainstorm.
This is a special brainstormer because this is the first plussing brainstormer or full plussing brainstormer, as in it mills four, that Fate has ever gotten.
Yay!
Yay! The weapon trait's
Yeah,
actually super.
there's the Mill 2 one.
Okay,
Yeah,
those
weapon
don't
trait's
count.
good.
The weapon trait
This is
is
a fine
super
card.
useful. This again, this is another one of those cards that can be more playable in a Shiro Saber deck because Shiro and Saber are both usually tagged with weapon, but you can still run it in Rin
Yeah.
Archer because you'll still be able to salvage archers with this, which is
Yeah.
relevant.
So even though you might not always hit your pluses, the fact that you can means that you can quite possibly cascade pluses into pluses because, as we discussed before, the Shiro Saber deck has pluses for days and Clock Encore on top of that. This card is also playable in just a Rin Archer deck, like you said.
Yeah, it's definitely more playable in Shiro Saber, but it's still.
Mm,
I would still run this in Rin Archer just because this is
yeah,
the only plussing brainstormer you can have otherwise.
pretty much. It's fine. So this next archer is Servant Weapon Trait 1045. If all of your other characters are Master or Servant, then this gains 1k, so it's a 5/5.
Becomes a vanilla.
And then Climax combo with what is a Climax combo with? Anyway, if this is in the front row, you can pay the cost of paying one and clocking the top deck. If you do, choose an opponent's zero cost or lower character and kill it.
And
Then this card gets 3k.
this is a bad card.
So I don't think it's a bad card.
You don't think it's a bad card?
This is a card in Persona. It's a card in Persona. So the Beefcake Champion or whatever.
Sure.
It combos with a gate. So I'm looking at what climax it is, and that will decide whether or not this is it's a +2 soul.
Wonderful. So are we agreeing on
Okay.
bad card?
Yeah, it's a bad card now. I'm sad.
I
Anyway,
think
it's a bad card only because it was a +2 soul.
I mean, even if it was, let's say, a stock soul or something, right? My
Look, the
personal
problem is that Rin and Archer have way too many good climax combos
Yeah,
for
at level
anything
1.
else to really consider it.
I mean, it just comes down to is like when you're looking at the context of a Rin Archer build, you're always thinking to yourself, is it better than Kaleidoscope Ruby? And
For the record, let's talk about the targets that this could possibly have in both Japanese and English.
biggest ones I can
So,
think of, you can hit Hatsukaze's.
yeah, if Hatsukaze is relevant,
if
yes, you
they're-
can hit
if that's the
Hatsukaze.
twos.
It can hit Umi, from Love Live. It can hit Haruer from Railgun.
It can hit
It
the
can
off times,
hit Off Time Makoto, definitely. It can
which
hit
is
the what was I thinking of? It can hit Rider deck.
yes, Redder
It can
does deck
hit the
well actually.
Encore, any brainstorm pretty much.
Yes.
It can hit the Encore Giver in Rewrite. It can hit
As well as the one
brainstorms
in Railgun.
in SAO, I guess.
You can pop Gyarados
What
with
else
this
can
actually
it-
against SAO, which would reduce the Asuna power by quite a bit if they're running that combo.
If they're playing that yellow
Combo,
blue build,
yeah.
definitely. Or you could just pop, a Sin on Clock Encore and force them to Clock Encore, take more damage.
Exactly.
Either way.
And in that case, you're
Um,
over anyways because you're gaining the extra 3k
Yeah.
power on top of it.
There are a fair number of things which don't get popped by this, like the Little Busters anti-salvage, the anti-heals and Little Busters, and Rewrite.
Yeah.
A
Cost
lot of
Zero
the
gives you a
1/1
lot of
combos and-
opportunities, though.
There's a lot of options. Anyway, that was a plug for the Persona card, not for this Archer, because the Archer sucks and the Persona card is good. Yeah. So we'll get to the next card, which is a 1/0 Rin, a 5k, Master and Gem trait. Resonance.
What does it resonate
Show.
with?
What does it resonate? It's the Suicide Rin, I think.
Okay. Let's assume it's a suicide Rin for now.
Yeah, sure. At your climax
It's
phase,
top
pay the
decks.
resonance cost, and it gets the ability to top deck what it kills. So this seems really bad because it's a 5k, and to be honest, it probably is.
I'm
But
in the same boat.
there's something we have to know about this card, which is it has a clock bond.
Yes.
It is a clock bond 0/0 Archer. When this is placed onto the field, you can pay 1, and an opponent character gets minus 1k.
Even in that
I
circumstances,
did not I did not know it had pay 1 on it. I thought it was okay, but now I just think it's bad.
I mean, even if it was free, at 5k, you still probably won't get over things with counters.
It's just no, it's not good.
I wouldn't
Like
run
you can
this
kill a level. I
zero.
got the same problem with this as I do with the 1/0 railgun card, which climax combo when you kill a character a level 1 or higher. It's a 5k by the way. You get to pay 1 and ping them 1.
I mean, so far,
That card never kills anything.
I think my favorite effect that's sort of like this still goes to the Natsu from Fairy Tail.
Ah, yeah, of course. But
that
that's a bomb. That
that
doesn't
that
count.
one's special though.
Yeah. Anyway,
2-1.
this card is we can conclude it's mediocre, even though it's bondable.
Yes. 2-1.
Bonding
Level
is
assist.
yeah, 2/1 Rin is the level X Rin. Resonance 1 cost and show presumably the Suicide Rin. At your climax phase, you can pay cost. If you do, choose an opponent level 0 or lower and kill it.
Oh.
So this is a bit like the Eva level support, which it had the requirement of tapping to pilots instead of the resonance cost.
Yes.
And that card is okay. This card is only okay.
I think it's agree. I think it's only okay. I don't know how relevant power is when you can just give everything global clock encore.
Rather than the power, the problem is this competes with the 1/1 Gandir Shooter Rin, and that
Yeah,
card is
exactly.
just a
Because
lot
that
better.
one's frontal 1k to
Yeah,
right.
it's front 1k to level 2 or higher, which is
Yes.
what you'd want to support
Exactly,
anyway.
which is what you're running.
And it has the supremely relevant um, top decking effect. Like,
Yes, which lets
that's
you
the
rescue
reason you run it.
masters. I completely
Exactly.
agree.
So,
I don't see a reason to run this over the Gandirin.
yeah, pretty much. Even in a Shiro Saber build, the 1/1 Rin is better because if you're splashing red, you may as well splash the good red card.
Exactly. Obviously, if you can't
This
get your
is
hands onto
um,
Gandirin, this is not terrible. I mean,
I would like to point out that unlike Gandia Rin, uh
Wing Slayer.
this is immune to Wingslayer. Oh yes. But you can clock encore your 1/1 Rin, so it doesn't actually matter. Anyway,
Oh
hey,
god.
relevant point might be relevant, hey?
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, 3/2 Archer. Um, it's really bad.
I, if you're not gonna tell me what the effect is, I'll take your word for it.
You drop a card from hand when it comes to play. If you do, you kill one of your opponent's level 2 or lower characters.
Okay,
And
so it's
then when
really
this
bad.
attacks,
Wait,
yeah, when
from
this
front row only
attacks,
though, right?
it doesn't even say front. It doesn't say that. It's any level 2 or lower character.
Okay, that could be debatably useful if you need to heal. But
Enough to warrant a slot?
no.
No. And when this card, like, didn't we? Wasn't there a card which did that
Yes,
anyway?
it's
Like earlier?
costless and in green.
Oh, my bad. Okay, fine. This is a techable card if you expect a lot of LB and you want to run the 3/2 Rin Archer, which you don't have to.
No, you
And
don't
then when
have
this
to.
card attacks, choose one of your other master or servants, and they gain 2k. Moving
Okay,
on.
moving on.
It's just a bad card for
Yeah.
what it's worth. And this
Resonance
is the
target.
Suicide Rin.
This is like the resonance
Suicide
target
Rin.
for everything.
Yes, I believe so. When it's a bomb, so it's a level 0 bomb, which is nice, and then you can tap it. If you do, choose one of your archers, and that card gets 1.5, and this card,
Cannot attack cards
it,
with lower level than it. If there is a card
Yes.
Opposite this, with a lower level than itself, this card cannot attack. That means it cannot side attack either.
Yes. So nice and flavorful, but otherwise it's a bomb, it's a resonance target, it's fine.
In reality, you're just gonna run it into things or hold it.
Hmm.
That's all this card is gonna be used for. I mean, the fact that it's bomb already means that it's very useful. It's not as good as the Kiritsugu bomb from Bait Zero, but it's a resonance target, so there you
Yes,
go.
which makes it better by extension.
Yes. Although the Kiritsugu
Anyway,
bomb was also a searcher.
Kyotsugu Bomb pretty good.
Yes, it was
Next
very good.
card. If you have one or less other characters, gets 1/5.
Yes.
And when this card attacks, you can, if you have a Climax combo, I don't know what Climax it is again. If but whatever. You can clock your top deck, and if you do, get a master or servant from your waiting room and add it to hand.
I mean, depending on the climax, this could be pretty useful.
Um, Let me see. It is a looks like a 2k1 soul. Yeah, 2k1 soul.
Is it on attack?
Um,
Yeah, it's on
yes,
attack
it's on
because
attack.
it's clocked itself. It has to be on attack.
It's very solid. There's a equivalent in Cancole. It doesn't really see much play, but it's fine. And there's an equivalent in Gargantua, which conversely sees a lot of play, even though it's with a gate, so it's not a straight plus, but
Yeah.
it's quite good.
2K, it's a nice effect. Honestly, I wouldn't say it's terrible. Being able to hand fix at
It's fine.
level, I think in Rin Archer, this could be debatably useful because
Mm,
sometimes you're not going to be able to get the Rins to hand as consistently as you would the Archers at level 1.
Bit of a stretch, since that means you need a 2k1 soul, and since you have
Exactly.
so many climaxes that you need to play already, like,
Exactly. I feel like
I don't know.
you're
This
better
is
off
a
just running the 8 gates, but you could use this.
like. Let me just clarify. A lot of the cards we're saying aren't that good, are only not good because there are better cards competing for the space. Like, this card is alright, but again, there's better cards that are in its slots. Its
Yes.
climax slots.
Yes, I agree.
It's also a fine throwdown because of 3/5. But anyway, let's move on. That card is
Playable.
eh, yeah. This is the 1/1 oversized that Fate wishes it had.
That Fate
Well,
wishes it had.
not really because uh, Kaleido Ruby turned into 2/1s,
TV.
and
I don't.
two
Is
ones pretty good.
yeah. Is I think it's a TD
Anyway,
card. Oh no,
all
never
this
mind. I
does
found
is
it.
it's a 1/1. No, it's not a TD card. It's
Yeah,
a 1/1. We would have known about it if it was a TD card.
that's fair.
It's a 1/1, and if all your characters are Master or Servant, it becomes a 7/5. And that's essentially making it 7/5 always.
I mean, 1175s. I don't see it being worth it. So,
It normally would be, but in
oh,
a
it
deck
has
that
clock
has a
encore.
it does have Clock Encore that has a quote unquote change to a 2/1, which can be enormous,
Ten
like
five.
9/5 enormous,
10-5
10/5, yeah,
because
with
Gandia
with the
Ruby or
1/1
Gandia
support.
Rin buffs it.
Yes, Scandia Shooter in. Um, I don't know. I'm not sure if this is worth the spot. I think
Mm.
it's an alright card.
I feel like
We'll have to see how the builds pan out.
I feel like at level 1, the way I'm envisioning the build, you're basically running the 106k archer because it's it
106k Archer, yeah,
for
because of the
experience.
3/2.
And
Yeah,
then
and
you're
then you're just going straight to a 2/1, or you're just riding it out until you can advance summon.
exactly. And then you're running the Kaleidoscope Ruby for the advanced summon. So I feel like you're, in my mind, I'm envisioning a deck with 8 level 1s.
See, this card is missing the Master trait, which would have made it good because the Master deck really wanted something bigger than a 1065.
Yes, it absolutely did.
But since it doesn't have the Master trait, eh,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it bad, but it's not great.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, this
Next
counter is
Archer
hilarious.
is a 2/1 counter resonance with Rin, that
To
0/0
to
bomb,
give it another 1k.
and it becomes a 3/5 counter with that resonance.
I mean,
That screenshot, man, really? They couldn't have picked something high quality?
yeah, the image is bad, but I mean, 2135 counters aren't bad. It's with a common
Yeah,
resonance target enough that it's not an issue, the resonance effect.
yeah.
I mean,
And even if you don't have resonance, still 2/5.
yeah, like overall, I think this is probably one of the better counters in the set.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, what can I say? Anyway, next is a 2/2 Archer. This one's amusing.
It's minus one
If the
level on
number
healing.
of Archer has a gate climax, and if you've got three or more of them in the waiting room, then this gains -1 level in hand, and it's got
Ah,
clock encore because it totally needed it, right?
yes, it absolutely needed it.
Two soul beater, uh,
I
sure,
I
but there's
don't.
so much you can do with your stock.
I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say no as well because it's a nice gimmick. I think it's the first advanced summon level 2 that's just straight
With
up advanced
climaxes.
summon.
Yeah, instead of like changes or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I think it's
But that
interesting.
doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it good.
I mean, if instead of clock encore it got like an extra 1,000 power from like a full field of master servant, maybe.
Even that
Because
is
then
like,
with Gandir you get a 10k archer that came in at level one with two soul and clock encore.
I think two soul is the big selling factor about God. Otherwise, it is wholly inferior to that 2/1 TD Rin that you can pull in with Collider Ruby.
Kaleidoscope, exactly.
Yeah.
So next card.
Okay, so next card, Smug Archer. This is the clock bond to the 1/0 Rin we talked about earlier, and we talked about it then, so we don't need to talk about it now.
And then it's pay one,
Um,
subtract power. It's okay. Clock bonds are
Look,
insanity.
clock bonds are great, like, but you're taking so much damage from clock encoring anyway that I'm skeptical as to how good this card is. But
Well,
it's bond, like
kind
bonds
of
are great.
it also kind of bonds to a mediocre card in of itself.
It is a very mediocre card, that's true.
So I personally wouldn't run the combo at all.
I would like to note that it is weapon trait, and the bond target being servable due to common traits is a good thing. Like there are sets like Railgun where the bond target does not have the relevant traits. I'm talking about the Saturn bond, and that's a real irritation. So this is it's an alright bond, but the bond target is just really eh.
Yeah, I agree. And next is a
Okay.
vanilla.
Vanilla Archer,
Oh,
nothing special here.
the 1/0.
1/0. This is the one that you need for the 3 to advance summoner in, which
If you're running the 3 to advance summon, you're running 4 of this, like, by extension.
pretty much. It's also a fine card. Like
Yeah.
it's
1/0
the
6Ks,
drawback is it
can't side
can't side
attack.
attack, but that's fine because the bomb rin
Buffs it.
gives it enough power to not want to side attack, and yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, overall, power wise, it's perfectly fine. The fact that it's Clonk Encore and a 6K body for free, I mean, that basically means it's as good as, like, the 1/0 Xenons or the Onodaras.
Or the Elizabeth or the Onoderas, yeah,
Yeah, so, like,
which is fine.
the fact is, it's fine.
Or
Vanilla,
actually, no, those cards are also good because they were just really good costless supports in those sets.
yeah.
But this card is fine. Like honestly, it's not a problem.
1/1 vanilla. And there we go, we
One
found a
one. No, no,
TD.
no. Let's talk about the 1/1 vanilla. 1/1 vanilla is good.
It's bad. Would not run.
It's a master trait.
It's,
It's a master trait.
I mean, Master Trait would be
You run it in
cool.
the master deck.
Yes, absolutely. Just like, no.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you run it in the master deck anymore because even in master deck, Collider Ruby into the 2/1 we're about to reach is just really good.
I
Like
think
it's
so
much better.
too. Just that combo
Okay,
is
fine. You are right. It's bad. Fine. It's bad.
okay. Okay, glad we're coming to an
Anyway,
agreement. This card is good. No,
yeah,
none on its
2/1
own.
7/5.
None on its own is not
It's not
good.
good on its own. So we have to talk about the Collider Ruby in a bit, but basically what it is a master gem trait, 2/1. For every other master or servant character you have, it gets plus 500 power. So it's a 9/5 usually. Why it's good, there's a 1/0 4K Kaleido Ruby in Fate Hollow Ataraxia. It combos with a gate. And when you pay the gate, you can pay one and sack. Let
Sack
me
the
pull it up
Kaleidoscope
actually.
Ruby. You send
Yeah,
this
you
to waiting
sack the
room,
Kaleidoscope Ruby.
and you play a
And
cost one Rin from your waiting room.
yeah, you also have to discard a card from your hand, so it's not a plus. In fact, it's actually pretty heavy minus, but since you have Clock Encore everywhere
It's
and
okay.
this card is so freaking massive, you win out against everything that isn't
There,
bounce, and
there,
even
there are
even
certain
even
wall
the
decks that can hold you though.
I guess, but there's not many of them. And even if they do have bounce, if this is being run in a master deck, you're maybe running the Sabo,
And
which
target it.
gives hexproof. Yeah. So this is really good, I think, in combination with Cloud Ruby,
Yeah,
which
in the
also has secondary brainstorm, by
yeah,
the way.
which is a spammable salvage brainstorm, which is fantastic.
It's not actually salvage. It's
I thought it was.
It's a search for Rin name only, I believe.
That's fine. That's actually
It's a search, yeah.
it's completely fine.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah,
I
pretty
agree.
much.
The combo is just what makes elevates this card to good status. Otherwise,
Yes.
you
And
just don't run it solo.
actually, the next card, is you to get your 2-1 into the waiting room for your quote-unquote change.
Yes.
If you ever played Rewrite, one of the things plaguing its change is if you're not able to get it into the waiting room,
One second.
especially since they.
I'm
Yep.
having some audio issues.
Okay.
Say something.
Hello.
You're breaking up a bit. I don't know if it's me or you though.
Um.
Oh, you're good now.
How about now?
You're
Yeah.
good now.
All right. So the next card is Father's Memento or whatever. It is a salvage 2 and drop 1. It only
Yes.
costs 1/1, but
And
it's only for gem trait.
yes.
I think this is okay in a Rin Archer deck.
I would run 2, maybe 3 of this in a Rin Archer deck.
See, I think this is better than Vimana because the only Archer cards you really, really, really care about are the
Rin
Rin and Archer
Archers.
and maybe the 1/0 and the Brainstorm, I guess.
Yes. This will let you salvage the Rin from this set. Any Rin, basically.
Yes.
It'll let you salvage with I think a few
That
exceptions.
includes Kaleido Ruby, that includes. And you get to discard as well. So you
Yes.
have the 2/1 stuck in your hand, you get to discard it, and then you get to change into it, which is nice.
Yeah. The only downside
It might be a
is
little harder than I'm giving it credit for, but whatever.
you can't salvage the Rin and Archer if you run that card. But
It's not gem trade, yeah.
yeah, it's Master Servant. But I mean, in
You
that
have
case,
enough brainstorming
yeah.
power, it's fine.
yeah, it's absolutely fine. I would run this card personally if I was
Yep.
building a Rin Archer deck.
I think it's pretty good.
Yes. So
Well, it's a mech card. It's a good card.
it's I think it's good.
It's on, yeah.
I wouldn't.
Alright.
I don't have any like negative things to say about the event in any large capacity, to be honest.
I can work around them when deck building.
Exactly. Okay.
Alright,
So
let's move on to blue, eh?
Subcaster.
Alright, so Caster has finally got a swag level 3. Oh, I think she had one already, but
I think
whatever.
so too, but this one's
Did
not
she have
good.
one? Whatever. This one is a come to play. When it comes into play or changes in,
Look up
spoiler, it
things.
has a change.
Oh no.
You get to look at top X cards, where X is the number of masters and servants you have, and you get to pick one of those cards and ditch the rest. Now, that caster is both servant and master trait. As to why that is, I'll leave that to your imaginations if you haven't watched the show. I'm saving the best ability till last, though. You still with me?
Yeah. The first ability is good. The second ability is
It's I've. At least it doesn't need to reverse level 2 or higher. Anyway, what it is, it's a 4 cost. Drop 2 cards from hand. This can be used once a turn. When you kill an opposing character, you can pay cost. If you do, restand. So the good thing about restanders is that they always pay a portion of their cost. So they're always a little cheaper than they appear. The bad thing is you have to kill something.
yeah. This card
Usually
gets
have to kill something.
this card gets no power, and then I think the
Yeah.
biggest problem is actually even though you're basically it does get 2 stock from the 2 attacks, the upfront cost of 4 is still a bit too much.
Well, you can get a costless from the cards you reveal off the top.
I mean, alright, so assuming you have a full field, right, and you
Mhm.
only play costless cards, you still need 3 stock going into the turn, right? Which isn't hard.
That's not hard with
That's
Cloth
that's
Encore
the
everywhere.
basics. But then you're only pushing caster's damage that turn, really.
That's true, actually.
And then you run into the issue where if you're putting all of your eggs in the caster restanding basket, if they anti-damage you, you cry tears.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not really defending this card in any large capacity. I think there are much better finishers, and any deck that's running blue should not be running blue just for this card anyway.
No, they're running blue because there are a really good blue event singular
Yep.
in Fate's Day.
We can talk about that one maybe later.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the next card? It's a caster.
It's a draw brainstormer.
Um,
Welcome to the second plussing
yeah,
of
it's a
brainstormer fate.
servant master. So the middle front row gets 500. Cool. And brainstorm, one cost, tap two characters. Or four. For every climax, draw a card. It's fine. Whatever.
I mean, it's a Shoreway clone from Log Horizon. It's a
Yeah.
plussing
No,
brainstormer.
no, Shurway is more relevant because it
Oh, it's
gives
plus 1k.
plus 1k on the opponent's
Yes,
turn,
that's right.
which
But
I
this is
think is better than plus 500 always.
I think I agree. Um, the nice thing about at least this being draw versus the other plussing on weapon is that this being draw means that you could theoretically get anything, whereas with weapon
Yeah,
you can't.
yeah,
So
definitely.
there are always pluses to draw brainstormers over salvage brainstormers and search brainstormers in that sense. Overall, I'm still partial towards the salvaging archer, but
Mm-hmm.
this is not a bad card by any stretch.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's worth playing over a bunch of things, but it's
Yes.
fine.
Anyways, next is that card.
Oh, it's that card. This is
It's that card.
Ilia. Yes.
Yes.
It's the Akatsuki clone. But not for green characters this time. It's for
No,
masters.
it's for master. It's dumb. It's
This is probably the best card in the set, in my opinion.
it's really really dumb.
Yeah, best card in the set, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, run
This makes
four.
the yes, absolutely. This makes the deck obscenely consistent. You can get to your 1/1 Gandir shooter Rin very easily. You can get finishers.
Not
You
only
can mill
that,
your deck really
it's
fast.
it's a mill effect, which means that it gives your Kaleidoscope Ruby that much higher chance of hitting that Rin
Exactly.
in your waiting room.
Yeah, it's if you're running that, then oh man, and it's in a relevant color to fix for if you're running the blue 3/3 event. I
Uh,
think most master decks are yellow, red, or tricolor, so
yes.
this is a welcome addition. Um, yeah, I've got no
This
bad things to say about this card
it,
aside from why did you print it, Bushy Road?
I mean, you're gonna run four of this card if you're running anything in your deck that has the master tag, which right now you probably
Yep,
should be. The only funny thing about this card is that the
absolutely.
second trait is homunculus, which is entirely meaningless, except for the fact that
It's a master trait.
there is an event from Fate Zero
Akatsuki
that
into
can.
Akatsuki. Let's not talk too much about that. It's not relevant. Um,
Okay. Uh,
Master trait. It's really good. Anyway,
yes.
assassin.
No.
This Kojiro is oh god, it's the same as the other Kojiro from Log Horizon, isn't it?
I I don't remember. This doesn't. I mean, the fact
Oh, it's
is,
very similar
you're
then.
just not gonna run it anyways, no matter how much power it got, unless it like was obscene, because all you need for blue color fixing is the previous card.
Stupid Ilia. Yeah,
Yeah.
this card is really good in Log Horizon because it's just a 4/5, maybe bigger. But here, I don't think you need it.
No, especially because you're generally not running blue for the core of any of your games. Uh,
Yep.
just because
Oh no, the old Master deck did run blue at level 1.
it ran blue at level one because it had nothing better to run at level one. It's not running blue anymore.
Uh, okay, yeah, you're absolutely correct, but I just want to point that out. Anyway, good flavor, bad card. Not bad, but we don't need it.
Yeah. Um, this is that
Okay.
teacher trait or is that master? I can't even tell. Hello? One moment. All right, you're back. Sup?
Oh,
Yes, you dropped for a second.
did I drop out?
Yes,
Where did we get up to?
we
Just
got to number 80. So the
yeah.
zero
So the
zero.
teacher.
Yeah, the teacher.
Yeah. So its effect is when it comes to play, choosing your masters or servants, and that card gets 1k and one level. Not this card, another one. Oh no, no, it's any card.
Yes.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, so it might be a 3k level 1 when it comes in. There's a card a lot like this in Persona, which is good for a lot of other reasons, not for the text on the card itself. So
Yeah.
I
I wouldn't
this
run
is
this.
a mediocre at best.
Yes.
I think it's a resonance target though. I think.
It might
I'm not
be.
sure.
We'll find out.
Anyway,
Uh,
the next card's a Himuro. When this card kills its battle opponent, you can clock the top card of your deck to draw one. That's nice, I guess.
and it's too low
And you
power.
can tap a character with assist to give itself 1k.
You're
Which
not.
is no, this card is fine aside from the fact it's in no relevant traits.
Yeah. And in
Uh,
general, you're probably not running too many cards with the actual assist tag printed on them.
yeah. Oh, you're running the 1/1 Gandir shooter.
That's true. That's
Oh
it.
no, yeah. That's it basically. I think there's also a Sakura in the first set which gives um, and that might be assist.
Uh, Next up
I'll have a look.
is
Oh, it's the hype card.
it's very
Yeah,
funny
the
card.
Sakura is the assist. This is the hype card which the Sakura assist I just talked about is very relevant with. It's a 1/2, 1 soul, very relevant, only 1 soul.
Yes,
It's 9/5.
it's huge.
It's 9/5. But when it's killed, it has the zombie psycho effect. So if you're not
Always
familiar,
clocks.
Madoka, yeah. Whenever it dies, you clock the top card of your deck, and it rests. So it's
It's
forced to clock encore.
it's auto clock encore. That's fine as an effect. I still wouldn't run it just because 1/2 in general is pretty underwhelming. The body is
1/2.
enormous though.
mm, 1/2 really sucks unless you build your whole deck around it.
Yeah.
In which case, I think this is perfectly viable. I think this is a card which will see play and will not be bad, but I don't think the serious players who want a more consistent deck will be running their decks around a 2 cost upfront at level 1, which you might get bombed and lose value on.
I believe it's traded as weapon servant, so in that sense,
It's servant weapon.
yeah. So it's not terrible to find either.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We're having connection issues. One moment. We'll be right back. All right. All right,
So
we're back.
about that 1/2 Berserker, earlier you mentioned a Natsu bomb. If that Natsu bomb meets this card with the
Ah,
Climax combo,
that's so funny.
oh man. And let's not forget about the Persona memory kick.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
So the fact is, no matter what, if this card is reversed, its trigger has been primed. So no, even if this card can't rest no longer, you still clock yourself.
Exactly. That's something we need to get out of the way. Now, I don't think this is a bad card, especially with the plus level support from there's actually 2 from Fate's Day Night. One's
Yes.
all of your characters on your opponent's turn. That one's irrelevant traits, but the other one is the Sakura, which is I think master trait, which is all right.
Yeah, it is a
That
master.
makes this a level 2, which is significantly better, aside from the fact it's only 1 soul. But if your opponent's ramming into this every turn, it's effectively a 2 soul beater, which is really good.
Yes.
It's a best case scenario card in that your opponent doesn't have a way to deal with this. If they do have a way to deal with this, then you're down shit creek without a paddle.
I think so too. I personally can't think of any great way of implementing this. I mean, theoretically, you could run a Rondite as well to help keep it around. A
That's
Rondite
true.
being the
It
2/0
does, it's the 2
counter from
cost. Yeah.
Fate Zero, and then you'd
Yeah.
be running red blue.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. There are ways to make this card work, and if it works, it's really good. But if it doesn't work, it's really bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, next card. It's an Ilia, and it's not broken this time. I don't think. I haven't actually read it.
I mean, I
So
doubt
when it
any.
attacks, I doubt anything's as good as that card. Yeah, it's a 30 yen card, so whatever. The Climax combo I think is with pants. If you've got if you've got 3 or more other master or servant traits, so basically a full field, you get to draw 2 and drop 1.
That's fine.
So many requirements. Yeah, so many requirements for an ultimately mediocre effect.
Yeah,
I think you have better options at level one, but and two, including that level two saber we kind of dismissed.
yeah.
But it's not bad. Pants aren't bad.
Pants not bad. I mean, it's really
Yeah, no,
helpful at making sure your endgame goes very smoothly in this set because you're probably running a climax combo level 3.
absolutely. So pants is good, whereas the card itself is mediocre.
Alright, next up is Akira
Yep, next
Kodamine.
card. Oh, this one doesn't have Mapu Tofu on it.
It also doesn't have
When
relevant traits. It's Weapon Void.
X is it? No, no, it's not Weapon Void. It's Weapon and Priest.
Is it Priest? Oh, I thought Kira usually gets
It's
the Void
Priest.
trait. Okay, Priest.
He usually does, but he's a priest here.
Uh,
If you've got five or more cards in hand, this card gets encore, blah.
yeah.
And at your wait, oh my god, no.
This effect is
At your draw phase,
assigned
if this
4K?
is if this is the only
Oh
character in
no.
your front row, it gets 4K. It's
Okay.
not assigned 4K to something. It's
It's
this gets 4K.
okay, so it's terrible.
It is terrible. Let's
Moving
move
on.
on. Here is
Kojiro.
yeah, this guy he's a freaking troll. He is. For every other copy of
Sorry, you're breaking up again. One moment.
I'm Australian internet.
Yes, we will blame Australia. It's fair.
I agree.
Alright, you're good.
Anyway, for every other copy of this card you have on the field, it gains 1k, so it's probably going to be a 9k. And one
Sure.
cost, drop two cards from hand. When this card is played from field, you can pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for two copies of this card and play them onto the field.
Oh, very
Then
true.
shuffle your deck.
So
Yeah,
that's not even actually. It's a +1 actually because you get the extra stock.
I don't count stock as
You don't
a
count stock as a
plus.
plus. In that case, it's even.
I don't know. It is even. Also, this is the same problem that made Mio and Nadeko from Bukke have.
It's very
In
easy
that
to
if
mill
its
them out.
search targets, yeah, if its search targets aren't in the deck, well,
Yeah.
shit creek, no paddle. Um,
It's
yeah,
also
because
like
you
a problem
can't
that
just
pops up in Ilia with their level
exactly, yeah.
pants combo.
You can't just drop one card and get one Kojiro. You need
You need
I
some
mean,
deck.
assassin.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers. You need to pay the whole cost, and if you can't get two Kojiro's assassins, then you can't get two assassins. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Should I
Next
reveal
one,
what her
custom.
name is too?
I think the second season's already told us who it is
Okay, cool. So
blatantly.
it's Medea.
Yeah, it's Medea. Oh no, spoilers.
Oh no.
She's a all
Assist.
characters in front gain 1k and hand encore, not clock encore.
Oh, but this is the changer, which is why
Um,
it's relevant.
Yes, this is the changer. It's a draw phase change. One cost, kill this.
Change to the
And
restand.
you changed, yes. Now, as somebody who's played a lot of Madoka and a lot of Persona, draw phase level 2 changes are really badly timed.
You can get bounce triggered so many times.
It's not even that. It's like you usually refresh around then, so you don't have
Oh
to target
yes,
in waiting room.
that also sucks.
Um, And even though you might, well, the thing about this card in comparison to Persona and Madoka is that it has Akatsuki, so you'll be refreshing a lot earlier than usual,
Yes.
which means this is probably a lot better.
It also doesn't help that the change target isn't super worth it. So
No, it's going to be extremely costly if you do decide to pull it off early.
Secondly,
Um,
the frontal hand arc for frontal 1K is great, but I mean, you already have a set with frontal 1000 with tap 2, you know,
yeah, exactly.
and
So
then
this is a
then
master
clock
trait though, so
encore.
you can have both on the field.
I mean, this is true. It's master servant still.
It does kind of go away, which is annoying. I don't like it when I don't like the Madoka changer because it goes away, and I like having my card on field when it's a strong assist.
I mean, that is the one advantage of the Persona draw phase changes.
Yeah, just straight up plus because
Oh, it came back to my hand. Would be a shame if I played it again.
exactly. Um, Anyway, this card is great in the dedicated caster deck, I guess. Spoiler: she's probably best girl in Hollow Ataraxia. The other candidate is Lancer. Um,
Lancer.
So yeah, if you like her, yeah, Lancer, he's
Yes,
clearly in the running for best girl.
best girl.
So yeah, if you like Medea, then by all means run this. It's a fine support. You don't have to change, and you have the option of changing if you want to.
Yes. Next.
Okay, next. A 0-0 Ilia that's not as broken as the other one.
Nope.
If you've got a marker under it,
I'm already
it
unpleased.
gains.
Encore and
Uh,
no, it gains frontal
I
1K.
no. Yeah, it does.
It's a clone of. It's a clone of
Um,
the. It's a clone of. Conclave has this exact same card.
yeah, it has to put itself underneath it to
Yes.
become a frontal 1K.
Yes. It grabs a
That's a
marker.
straight neg one.
It can grab a
Straight
marker.
neg one.
Yeah, and it can become
Straight
from.
neg one.
Yeah. No.
Straight neg one.
Yeah.
Not
Don't run it.
impressed. Anyway, yeah.
Don't run this. Um. Australian internet, man. One moment.
And I'm back. How
Okay.
many times have I broken this skull? Like six.
Yeah, and it's mostly been over the last hour.
Yeah, thanks, Abbott. If you
I
don't know
mean,
who Tony Abbott is, go look it up.
luck
Okay, so
luckily
this
it's over
card
the
is,
less relevant cards at this point. So
yeah, that's fine. This card is a Kodomine, 1K whenever another weapon trait attacks, and it's weapon and priest trait. It's, eh.
yeah, moving on. Zero
0-0
zero.
Berserker. This is only notable because it has a very interesting type of encore.
Yes,
It is encore. Put one of your servants from stage to clock.
it's a clock. Oh god,
Yeah. This is actually okay because if you have another servant that
it's been
died
reversed.
anyway,
Yeah,
you
you
just put it
can
in
clock
clock.
it. It's actually nice at level
And
zero
then
because it can speed up your leveling process. But
you say that, but then you think about the card in general and just how bad it is otherwise.
I
It's
mean, I
not even
feel like
oversized.
with this encore effect, I feel like you shouldn't even lost power. I mean,
Exactly. Like it's not a good effect. Anyway, moving on. We have Mousy Plain Girl, whose name I actually have forgotten.
wonderful.
All of your other this is the three idiots combo.
Ah,
We've got one coming up that we'll talk about. But they all gain 500, and then this is assist 500.
wonderful.
So this harks back to Mother Prinny and as well as Haruo, I guess, kind of. Um, except it's level 0, so instead of being global 500, it's only assist 500, making it worse.
Okay, so yeah.
Not much to say. If you want to run the Sunbucker deck, then go for it. If
So
not, then don't.
next up is a 1-0 1500 counter, which is fine, but there's still the 1-1 Lancer counter from Fate Zero
It
that you're
also has
probably
the
running
stupid
instead.
homunculus trait. Is it homunculus or
It's
Yeah,
it's
it's
homunculus,
homunculus
but it
trait.
should be Master Homunculus, isn't it?
Yes, Master
I mean, it's
Homunculus.
self-searchable.
It's not alchemy, thank God.
Yeah, oh, Jesus.
Um,
We use Erisfiel or whatever her name is now.
yes.
I still wouldn't run this over the Lancer. Lancer is better trades. Lancer is Serpent Weapon, which is far, far better traded for the searching in Fate.
I think the straight up better comparison is Rider in swimsuit,
That's
um,
fair.
which is a bondable
It's not only
1-0
bondable, but it's
counter.
also on trait.
It's also a 2K counter to Masters.
Yes, which is fantastic, and it's still Servant
Yes.
Weapon. So,
Yep.
good card.
It's actually Servant Swimsuit, I believe.
Is it after the swimsuit? I'd believe it, but I mean,
I believe so. I think all the swimsuit cards in Hollow Ataraxia, I think are swimsuit trait.
that's completely fair.
Yeah,
What
whatever.
is?
Anyway, this is the Kaede
Oh, when this
that we
is
just talked about.
reversed, you cannot
When this
encore.
is reversed, you can't encore.
So
So that's just not good.
no, not it completely shuts
It's
down the entire game plan that Fate's trying to run. So
no, if you run the three idiots deck, then this is probably 7-5.
yes,
Um,
785.
but that's about
Yeah,
it.
that's about it. It's no.
Okay. We've got Smirky Caster next. She's got her Rule Breaker out. When this card attacks, if the climax, what climax is that? If the book climax is in the climax zone, choose one of your opponent's characters, and it loses its trait, and all characters on that field lose the trait.
can be useful.
S- we saw this effect
Nanaha.
in Nanoha, and some decks are really badly affected by this, like Nisekoi. No, not really. It's not
No,
actually that
it's
bad.
not that bad.
Kankole, kind of, not really.
Not since they lost their
What
useful globals.
Yeah. What this really does is it turns off whatever assists they had that affected traits and also some abilities for traits. Like, for example, various 2-1s in Railgun that need a bunch of Espers,
Yep.
or cards like the 2-1 Rin from this set, which need Masters and
It's
Servants.
actually fantastic against the Master build in the sense that you can shut off Master, which eliminates that clock encore option.
It also wrecks the hell out of Shana. Like, I remember when the Nanoha one was spoiled.
Yes.
I
Flame
literally
removal.
thought of Shana and thought, this card is designed to kill Shana.
Rip Shauna.
Not that it needed any more killing.
It's still an
Anyway,
okay set.
perfectly. If this card had like a not climax combo effect, I'd say it was techable,
With
but
the
it doesn't.
climax, it
So
takes up
I
too much
don't
slots.
exactly.
So if you're running
Exactly.
caster deck,
Yeah, exactly. Card is fine. The fact it eats up so much climax space is not fine. Next, we've got a Kodamine. He's not wet master trait anymore, so we don't care about him. He's a 1-1 vanilla.
we got a teacher counter.
Teacher counter is the resonance I was talking about, I think.
That's
It resonates with the 0/0 come to play plus 1k 1 level, I believe. And you put it from hand to clock. And if you do, you gain the anti-trait, anti-change, anti.
oh, so this is
If your
interesting.
opponent's, if your, yeah, if your opponent's card is higher than their level, you get to put it to the bottom deck.
So you can clock a specific level 0 to bottom deck from the
Yes,
front card. That's actually very
yes.
situationally useful. Um, I still wouldn't
Mm,
use it.
it's okay. Best case scenario, you go 2 for 2, and uh,
Eh, it's mediocre.
it's fine in the caster deck. Otherwise, there's no reason to run significant numbers of level 0.
Yeah, I
All right,
agree.
next
Events.
card, 1/0 Y Rider. Anyway, it's a 1/0 which shuffles both players' libraries together with their waiting rooms.
It is rare. I don't understand. Um,
Anyway,
it's fine.
this is kind of like it's like the demolition event
Yeah, Fate
in
Zero.
Fate Zero, but not a counter and also earlier play. So if you're really climax screwed, then yeah, I guess. But the thing is, you're not counting on being climax screwed, so dedicating a slot to this is not really worth it.
Some people should have this in their deck, but
Okay, yeah, if you're one of those people, then okay, that's fine. Next, like that card's playable. It's just nah. Okay, so this is a
2/2.
2/2. Choose one of your standing masters and tap it. If you do, one of your opponent's level 2s goes to bottom deck. Level 2 or lower goes to bottom deck.
Wouldn't run it ever.
This would be a lot more flavorful if you took your opponent's level 2 and got to attack with it.
Yeah, that would be actual flavor, but no.
Too bad. That's not what happens.
No,
It's bad.
if we want real flavor, we gotta run the Fate Stay caster, pay 5, rest
Oh,
this.
yes, absolutely. Or we could just run the Bazet from Ilia or Hollow Ataraxia.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Oh wait, they got
um,
a 3/0 version of.
yeah, the last card. This is for every master trait you have, 1k counter. I don't know why it's master trait
I
when it's
also
got Berserker
I also don't know
standing
why
there.
it's 3/0.
Because 5k counters at level 2 are obviously too powerful.
Damn it, girlfriends.
Yeah. Anyway, this is just I wouldn't run this ever.
No, I personally I think it's just coming out way too late to be useful as a counter.
You can use it to make sure your clock kicks get over theirs,
But
but at that point in time, you're reaching really hard.
yeah, it's just such an iffy card, and even then, like you're still almost better off just running the 2/1 command seal because all clock kickers are in green
Hmm.
anyways. And in that case, you're just getting
Yeah,
you're getting the power for one stock, but you're getting 500 less, and you also have a usable counter that's
I
bondable.
think so too. Yeah,
It's
it's just like ugh.
it's
Okay.
this is not good.
So we've reached the end of all the cards. What are your opinions on how about your top three cards in this set?
Well, both. I'm gonna give number one to both of the clones of Akatsuki because
That's reasonable.
they're
That's
both
reasonable.
so freaking brain dead to me that I just don't understand why they got reprinted. Number two, I gotta give to the Rin Archer Global Clock Encore, given the context of the current set. If it
Fair enough.
was before this set, I would have given it to the Shiro edition instead,
Right.
just
Yep.
because the master build is just better. But now I think
Yeah,
Rin
fair
Archer
enough.
as a build seems a little bit stronger to me.
Hmm.
The third probably just goes to. I'm trying to think of like if there was anything particularly unfair. Nothing comes to mind, so it probably just goes to the Saber Musashi in the sense
Yeah,
that
that's fair
it's a
enough.
very techable finisher.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Um, as for me, I think I would rather do like two top threes because the Rider deck is so separate from everything else.
That's
The Rider
fair.
deck got a lot,
It
I
got a lot
think.
of cards in those
Um,
15 playable green cards.
yeah, pretty much. So all in all, I think the best card in the set is the Ilia.
Yes,
Like, it's kind of stupid.
it's a very dumb card.
Next best is probably the Saber Musashi.
Okay.
Because it's a splashable finisher and it's just really solid. And third best is hard actually. If we're talking about what opened up an entire build, then it would be the Rin and Archer Clock Encore, like you were talking about. But if we're talking just straight up power level, um, I might have to say the 1-0 Shiro. Oh no, not the 1-0 Shiro. The Taketsubo Saber, the one that
Oh,
taps
okay. Yes,
and
that's
one cost clock.
yes,
Yeah,
that makes
because
more
that one's
sense to
just
me.
incredibly strong.
It
The
is a very
1-0
powerful
Shiro
card.
is fine, but not as good as that card. I'm just looking through them. And as
That's,
for Rider deck, it got a lot. I think the best card it got was obviously the Sakura.
I mean,
And
no
then it got the
contest.
1-1 stock swap, which is pretty
Incredible.
ridiculous.
Especially in the deck that's basically just pushing damage the whole game instead. The ability
Pretty much.
to interfere with your opponent's stop generation in the sense that if it's all
Hmm.
clean, they can get really upset is always
Mm.
useful.
And I think the third goes to the 1-0 Rider and her bar combo. Now, regarding the
Yes.
Rider deck, I think there's one main reason that you would ever run the stock soul, um, the one that over the Rin and Archer, the finisher. And that's because in the Rider deck, for those who aren't familiar, the support is basically 2k to your whole field once you have the appropriate back row, and your characters cannot be reversed by bombs, and they also cannot side attack. So my problem with that is not being able to side with +2 soul is a major detriment.
Yes, I completely
So
agree.
that's why I think the 1-0 bar combo, giving you the option to just swing for 2-2-2 usually, in addition to sometimes getting advantage out of the climax combo, is really good.
In
So
general,
that's why I think that's good.
my opinion for the Rider deck at this point is that I personally still favor the Fate Zero Rider as an endgame finisher
Mm.
over
Yeah, that's fair.
the Gold Bar or the Stock Soul Rider from this set. Secondly, I think as a second slot, especially in Rider deck, you should still be splashing a lot of blue, most likely.
Yeah, fair enough.
For
I
a
don't
lot of
know if you want to put the caster in, but
I don't
there
think
are
you're
a
running
bunch of blue
I don't think you're
cards.
running the caster anymore because I mean you could just run the Sakuras and that'll probably cover most of your problems anyways. And then you also
You could
have the
run the
draw.
Sakuras, and you could run the Ilias.
Yes, you can also run the Ilias. Oh, the Ilias can't grab the 0/0s though. I don't believe.
They can grab various finishes of choice.
Yes. Yeah, you can tech in basically the other alternative is teching in more red and then running the gate combo at level 3 in addition to the Rider Clock Kicker from Fate Zero.
Hmm.
And in that case,
That's reasonable.
you're capable of plussing from gates. You are still running
Mm.
the very powerful mono green Rider core,
Yep,
and
of
you will
course.
still have a strong finish in that you still have a very strong clock kicker as well as a very strong burn effect.
Yes. Yes, no, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, I think you're right, because the Rider clock kick is just really good in a lot of ways anyway.
Yeah,
The Fate Zero one,
yeah,
that
the
is.
pseudo pay to kind of get encore effect is very useful at times, especially when you're at
Well,
three
we all know how
six.
effective Time Machine can be.
Especially at
Like
three
it gets rid
six.
of, yeah, you can get rid of clock kick targets for your opponent. You can get rid of reverse targets for your opponent, and you get attackers next turn.
Yes, you're guaranteed attackers next turn. In addition, you're more likely to cancel because you are taking more damage, but
That's what you say, but not necessarily.
that's not necessarily how it's going to work. I mean, it's an effect that becomes more and more useful the closer you are to dying.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Um, so yeah,
This is
that's
a
the
Rider
set.
build.
I I think the Rider build is probably going to come out incredibly strong.
I don't see the Rider
Um,
build overtaking Ren Archer right now,
I
but
think it could. I think it very well could.
I think the fact is with a 9K wall, you deny almost every deck's advantage engine. Almost. Little Busters being the key exception. Oh, did we lose him again? Yes, we did. One moment. Well, I guess that's it for the video. Thanks for watching if you've watched this far. Um, as always, you can follow the brand new channel for which this is the first video on. There may or may not be a text supplement written in addition to this video that you can also use as additional guide for building the set. So thanks for watching, and we might have a shorter summary video done later.